Very good evening to all our viewers. Welcome to today's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Toivo Njobela, your host. Tonight on the show we are discussing a matter that has been making headlines in the press lately, and that is suicides seemingly emanating from problems in intimate relationships. People breaking up and then one of them goes and take their own lives. There's been a lot of stories in recent weeks in that regard. And to help us dissect the subject is John Hafeni Kamati. He is a well-known relationship and marriage counselor based here in Windhoek, to help us perhaps understand some of where this is coming from. A pleasure, Tate Kamati, to have you on the show for the first time on this platform.
Thank you so much, Toivo. It's always good to connect with you.
Yes.
And I look forward also to just share.
Wonderful.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Maybe to start with, you sit week in and week out with people with all sorts of problems, especially in the sphere of relationships and marriages. Perhaps since we're talking about suicide and related problems, how often do you encounter clients with suicidal thoughts emanating from those kind of relationships?
Oh, yes. Thank you for the question. In fact, some of the clients that come to see me is either because the one client has exhibited some suicidal tendencies. Mm-hmm. I would say that I have had quite a number, probably 10 to just a rough estimate, probably 10% of the people that I see. Because remember, when people come with a relationship problem, be it in marriage or just indeed in a relationship between men and women, there's also other symptoms that we see. You know, a person is depressed, somebody is anxious, people are fearful, but also you find that there are those that are showing depression as well as indeed suicidal thoughts. Yes, it's a reflection of the desperation and perhaps also hopelessness that people feel when they are in a relationship that they are so passionate about, and they feel that they don't have control over it.
Is it, I mean, you've been in that space for a long time now, Tate Kamati. Has it always been like that, or the trend is picking up? Because I do not know, but I mean, what happened just in recent weeks for me really has taken me aback. People at the coast, there's a gentleman there who killed himself. Apparently had issues with a girlfriend. This week, someone appeared in the Kietman's court for touching a light and therefore and eventually killing a woman that they suspected of sleeping with her husband. In Kavango, there's a man who killed another man. He swapped onto his wife, supposedly having a relationship with a neighbor of some sort. But those are just a few that I remember now on top of my head. Is it a thing that has it always been like that, or have we maybe commercialized, for example, the relationships, or we are struggling just to hold them down and say, this is my relationship, I'm going to fight for it? What are the challenges?
You know, human beings have always we are relational beings, and part of that, of what we see is that people might have misunderstandings at all levels. Yeah. But I think there is such a high level of violence that we see in relationship that I believe we have not seen before. I wouldn't go in the last couple of years. Perhaps also because now we have a lot of access to media, be it social media, where you find that events are immediately available at the point when they happen. You know, people will take videos and they place it on social media. But I think in general, even perhaps through the courts and the police reports, there is a much higher level of violence, of murders, and even suicide. I think that are relationship inspired.
Mm. Do you think that, John, that you spoke about the advent of social media, and I'm thinking
Yes.
to myself, not only in the sense of reporting such incidences that we now immediately are aware of what has happened, but also in terms of interactions. Your partner is being constantly inboxed on social media by people that want them. If they put something on their WhatsApp status, might be a nice photo of themselves, just a nice photo, then there are people who are hitting on them, and you can only resist up to a particular point. This one says this one says that. It's almost impossible to ignore all of them. Do you think that has also had an influence somehow, especially where cheating now is suspected and stuff like that?
Well, I think what internet and particularly cell phones have availed to us is really access to information, access also to see what other people are doing, because we place everything that we do on social media, and also therefore which makes things like stalking, online stalking, also now prevalent. I have cases that I've been dealing with, or let me say maybe a specific case of harassment that has come via cell phones and messages and WhatsApp, where the one party feel that they were in a relationship and then the other party moved on, but yet this one party is still showing some dysfunctional behavior, lack of accepting that indeed they have separated, and now attacking the partner that has come in the scene through consistent messaging, and that has actually then caused a depression and anxiety, as well as now has affected this relationship adversely. And that is, you would say, the innocent party in the picture. And now that is affecting the health of this relationship, because the person that is being harassed is now also showing tendencies of anxiety, of fear, and even depression. Yes, social media does affect that. Also in the fact that, as I mentioned, stalking is one, but also that people now have easy access to one another, as you say. Another issue that I always encounter, which is very prevalent, I must say, is where you have one party accessing messages of the other party. And I see this mostly from women, and nothing against women, but I see that it's always mostly you find that women that are looking at their husband's cell phones and so on. And also that when they come across stuff that then exposes whether there's been cheating, and this you also find vice versa. It's not just that it's one way, but you find where the party would the one party would discover that the boyfriend or the husband has been cheating
or flirting with
or flirting, and not only cheating, but there could be people that are just sending messages that are suggestive or even hitting on the person, as you are saying, and then when the other party finds out, that then creates a big conflict. You find people are jealous. It also brings about uncertainty in relationship. The one party becomes can affect their esteem. Now they feel that I'm being, my chances of success, of being in this relationship
is threatened.
And now it's
threatened now.
Are threatened, exactly. That is one. And then you find people that also then would really go to the extreme of violence because of what they have seen. I have also had cases where the one party now had to get psychological intervention because they have seen messages on their partner's phone, and somehow it has caused them so much emotional anguish to the extent that they might need to have therapy.
Speaking of access to partners' phones, what is the best policy? Is it to stay away completely and just protect your feelings in case you would find something that is uncomfortable, or really to police your partner and make sure that they are behaving?
I wouldn't propound for a policy, because relationships are very unique. You find certain relationships that are so transparent that the parties share each other's passwords. And you'll find that even when they have access, in such cases you find that there is a transparency where the other partner would not even feel the need of accessing, because you have access to it. I think the one thing that entices or that motivates people to look at others is either when you find the one partner has got a password, and then you become suspicious. Why do you put a password on your phone? But also, I have found people that are just, especially in relationships where there are certain dysfunctionality, or perhaps the one party is very jealous or is very, have got a esteem issues, that they would be so is it paranoid, not paranoid, but neurotic, if I can use the word, to get access to their partner's phone. It is very varied. People will behave in different situations, but I see a pattern where the cell phone in particular becomes a point of a source of conflict when information is accessed. The best policy, I think, in a healthy relationship is really to be transparent.
Yeah.
And when there's transparency, it means that there is honesty. The moment you start to hide and put passwords, it kind of gives a certain connotation of, that you are hiding something. Or if you have a password for security's sake, then make sure that your partner also then has access to it. Also for just, when you say security, not just the security of the phone getting lost. A very interesting case that I was dealing with is a case where the one partner was sick and needed to be hospitalized. And for purposes of communication, then the other party had to now have the cell phone. Not that they were intentional in pursuing or looking for messages in the phone. It was as this person had the phone that messages started to come in. And all of a sudden, the secret came out. So the dynamics vary. But the cell phone has become a source of conflict or information. Sometimes you don't need anyone to tell you anymore. Also, people now use location services to be able to locate where their partners are. I have also been amazed to find that, I don't know the technology, but I have found that there is a certain component of people that seem to be monitoring the calls as well as the messages that are coming on the partners' phones. I guess with all these new apps that are available, I'm sure that people can now access that. But that is something that I have found to be, wow.
Yeah, it's intrusive
very
also, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Intrusive. And, it takes away your privacy. I think even within a relationship, it is important to have boundaries.
Yes.
Boundaries that connotes respect, that also just honor the other person's personal space and integrity.
Yes. Before we go on a break, Dr. John, on that subject of boundaries, because is it that if you are in a relationship, boyfriend and girlfriend, I suppose the weight differs between married partners and boyfriend and girlfriend perhaps, again depending on two individuals, but is it absolutely necessary that openness can be without any boundaries, that somehow when I don't have money, when my message from the bank comes in saying I have now negative $75 in my account, that you see it, because you spoke about confidence also, that I need to be, as a man, I need to be seen to be in charge in terms of providing for my partner.
Yeah.
Now, when the message comes into the phone, it shows that I have negative balance, or a message comes from my mother just saying, you know, something. Are you saying that it's just open to everybody? I can't have particular things that are just for me?
One of the things that we encourage people when we do marriage counseling or premarital counseling and preparation is the aspect of finances, how to manage finance. Remember, the principle remains that from a Christian perspective, for this reason shall a man leave his mother and father, and he shall cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one. Now, that is not just physical intimacy, but it also connotes or implies being one in the sense of transparency and in everything that pertains to each other. I always ask people, I say that always think of the worst case scenario. What is the worst case scenario? If you die tomorrow, or if your partner died tomorrow, what do you know? What do you have access to? And I think if there's any other party that should really know your affairs, is your husband or your wife. When it comes to finances, money answers everything. That's what King Solomon says, and I think he states it very well. Money is the center of everything that we do. And it has also become, not that it has become, I have also seen that it is one of the contributors to conflict in marriages.
Yeah.
I am very much amazed how many people are not transparent with their financial status, even though they've been married for over 10 years, especially in our community. I am always amazed. Yes, so if the cell phone then brings a message in from the bank, unless I'm spying on you, but I think there should not be really secrets between parties that are married. For those that are not married, I think we need to maintain certain boundaries. I always tell people that are dating or courting, because I very much encourage people to go in courting and not just date. It's two different stages of a relationship. I always say that you can't have marital privileges if you never invested in that marriage, or in the marriage. So, and the length of your relationship does not determine that you are entitled.
Indeed.
Or, yeah.
No, we go for a quick break and return for the last part of the show.
Thank you.
NMH at 1 brings you news from all across Namibia. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact nmh1@synergy.com.na. NMH at 1, your lunchtime news companion.
Irongo Talk brings you community news in the Irongo region. For news-related or advertising queries, contact irongotalk@synergy.com.na. Irongo Talk, our community, your news.
We continue our conversation with John Hafeni Kamati. Now, Kamati, one thing that I think is also causing problems in relationships is you spoke about lack of confidence when you feel that you are undermined by your partner, but sometimes, look, money, we spoke about money before the break, but it was in the context of, can I take care of my household needs and stuff like that. But there's also this new wave, which I don't like personally. That somehow if you're in a relationship, especially not marriage but boyfriend, girlfriend, that you have to, as a man in particular, you have to provide in excessive ways these days. Holidays in Swakopmund or Cape Town, spoiling a person with gifts. And the moment you don't have that, you are the biggest coward in town. How much dent does it leave on your confidence?
As a matter of principle, what I advise and what I think should be the case is that no party is financially responsible for the other if you are not married. Of course, within reasonable function, you can be able to entertain one another. But sincerely, unless you have made a commitment to marry this person, you are not obliged to take care of anyone financially.
They will leave you.
Then that should be an indicator that this person is not the right one for you. We speak about expectations, and I always like to highlight to people the things that might seem very, very significant in the beginning of a relationship, but that can change. And that also indicates people's expectation. What are your expectations when you are getting into a marriage? Some people are going in marriage with the expectation that there will always be money because you are judging the person in the status that they are in today. They could be very well off financially.
Yeah.
Oh, they look very good. They have a six-pack.
Yeah,
You know, people always say, you know, ladies, they always have this statement that now I'm looking for a tall, dark and handsome guy. And I keep saying that, what about us light and short guy? But anyway, or somebody that has got status.
Yeah.
Status, wealth and physique.
Yes.
They can change anytime. You know, well, not anytime, but with time.
Yes.
You know,
but also anytime. It can also change anytime.
Anytime,
just
exactly.
Just guy gets fired and then that's it.
Exactly, and that therefore makes the sense of the emphasis that you put on things like money becomes very superficial, because then love is much more than just material things.
Yeah.
Exactly. Although material things and financial security are very key for a healthy relationship, although they are not guarantees. I've seen people that are very well to do, and yet their money does not answer for the health or of the relationship. There's a much more that you have to put in.
Tell me that, Kamati, can love exist in pure form and in isolation of factors such as money and stuff like that? I mean, you spoke about physique and stuff like that, but is there such a thing as just loving someone, irrespective of whether they were walking around barefooted? Somehow is there such a kind of love?
I believe there is, because it depends on how you know, the definition of love for me. I keep telling people that when they come and says, this guy give me butterflies in the tummy. I have coined this term that I say, if you say the guy gives you butterflies in the tummy, you suffer from butterfly-itis. Go and see a doctor. Love is work. Love is a verb, both emotional. Love is kind. Love is patient. This is according to Paul in Corinthians chapter 13. Love does not hold a record of wrong. Love is not puffed up. Now, those are things that engages your will and your emotion. So if I have to be kind to you, it means that kindness is something that I extend from myself to you. But it also depends on the status of my emotional health. Patient is something that I also then have to, it's a reaction based on an external stimuli. Maybe you have disappointed me, you are late, so how do I react to you? If I have to react with patience, it's like, I must put myself in your shoes. I must consider before I respond. That is love. Forgiveness is love. So love is really based on the interaction of the relationship, and I think the more mature we become, and also the longer we are with one another, I think the more our emotional quotient, I call it, become refined. The more patient you might be as you get to know the person. So is there pure love? I believe that love is relational, but love, the godly love is pure. But as long as we are in this physical body, we part of what makes life interesting is the fact that we can navigate it by either adjusting, compromising, because we need to take decisions all the time that pertains to love.
Indeed. John Hafeni Kamati, what a pleasure to always have you on the platform. Thank you for always sharing with us your wisdom.
Thank you most kindly. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. That is John Hafeni Kamati. He's a relationship and marriage counselor. He's always very, very thoughtful in the way we look at life. And tonight he did not disappoint. Thank you for watching.